And this is just there's not really, we didn't write a script for this.
No, we didn't.
We don't have any questions to send forth. Realistically, we're just one big happy family here. And we're, kind of like last session. We're just going to leave this one kind of open-ended. And
I think to me, you guys, coming in, talking about who you are, telling your story, about what you've been through, and then talking about Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy, what it means to you, and then, how that's playing a part in what y'all are doing now.
Yeah. Don't try to get that out in one verb. So, so kind of, what we'll do is let's go back and forth so we can kind of hear what your stories are, So let's take us up to the point that you needed to apply to the Wounded Warrior Battalion. So Kyle, let's start with you first, since you're on the top left.
Which time? The first time or the second time?
Well, let's go with the first time, and then you can walk up to the second time. But
so when I initially, it wasn't the Wounded Warrior Battalion Regiment. Right. It was the barracks over at H1, and it was just one floor, the bottom floor of the officer transient barracks. So October 6, 2005, I got shot in Iraq, in Fallujah, and medevaced. I went to Balad, to Germany, from Germany to Bethesda, that whole thing. And they said, hey, I'll never forget it. I took a C-130 from Andrews Air Force Base to New River. I had a liaison guy there pick me up, drove me to the barracks, and it was just like, okay, do you need a key? And I'm like, no, I'm married. So, it was just kind of like you come during the day and then you go home at night. But it wasn't what it is now. It was literally, and you guys have touched on it earlier today, it was literally a whole bunch of guys, and you could tell who was deployed at the time because of who was the patients there. 3.6, 2.2, 1.8, tracks, tanks. And it was literally, you had a captain and a gunny who was the OIC and staff NCOIC. You go to your appointments, you come home, you go back. That's it. There was no counselors. There was no medical facility. There was either you did it or you didn't do it. And 99% of the people ended up getting medically retired. There was nobody there to help them through the process.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give a little context on that. And if, for those of you who don't know, the Wounded Warrior Battalion and the regiment didn't exist, like Kyle was talking about. They had this concept that says, if I've got a combat deployment and I've got somebody that's injured on my roster, I can't really do them the service of taking care of them for their medical appointments. So they said, well, let's put all these guys in the same barracks. Yeah. And then they can kind of be like-minded and they can convalesce and on their own and get their, and it was this proof of concept back in like 2006-07 timeframe. Yeah. And so the Wounded Warrior Battalion didn't exist in its entirety at this time. So, and we were the first, the Marine Corps was the first to come up with this concept. So I just wanted to kind of provide some amplification on that. Sorry, Kyle.
Yeah. And then I felt, and obviously we'll get into it later, but I felt unfinished. I felt like my job wasn't done. Could I have medically retired then? Yeah, absolutely. But I still had more to prove. I think that I left more than half of me on the battlefield, and I needed to get back. And I wasn't ready to go then. So I healed myself up quicker than I probably should have to get back to a unit, to go back to another deployment, to get back out there. And then how I ended up there the second time is didn't talk to anybody, put it in my back pocket, sucked it up, said everything was fine, even though I put a show on, going to work every day, but inside I was dying. It was eating me up, survivor's guilt to why not me? I'm the platoon sergeant when all this happened. These were my guys, my responsibility. And I just, even everything that I've seen and done, I just put it in my back pocket and didn't say a word. And then finally, one day it just came crashing. Sure. And I was just like, hey, I need help. And that was the biggest thing for me, was saying I need help. Yeah. Because during the post-deployment health assessments, I would walk up and down the line with the Marines and be like, hey, do not put yes. Because if you put yes, your career's done. Yeah. And knowing what I know now, obviously I shouldn't have done that, but it was the best thing I could have done.
Because that's who
Yeah.
it was.
It's the way they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then met Greg, and rest is history. We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
get into that. So, Clayton, how did you end up in? Walk us through your story and how'd you got to the Wounded Warrior Battalion?
I came back from deployment 2011, and during deployment, I noticed I really couldn't sit right. I had some problems going on with my hip. So when I got back, we went on a run, realized that I lost a lot of feeling in my leg. So my first sergeant, my company gunny, were like, well, man, maybe you got to get looked at and checked out for some of the stuff that took place in Afghanistan. So I went there and they realized that both my hips have some bone fragmentation that came off my femoral head and into my hip socket. So they recommended a surgery to fix my hip, which was a hip reconstructive surgery. So I went in like 185 pounds, and in the surgery I woke up and they said that the surgery didn't go very well and that I would need to use a cane to walk, and that they were sorry, and that I'd just have to go back to the unit. So I went back to the unit and they were like, man, you're all messed up, so we got to get you fixed. So they sent me to the Wounded Warrior Battalion in Hawaii to get fixed and get better. But when I went over there, they told me that because of my injuries, I looked to be unfit for duty. And I said I wasn't unfit for duty. I just needed to be replaced. If you replaced it, then I can get back to active duty. But that was an option that was not offered to me, or could they do for me at that moment. So after then, I went to the MEB, or the Medical Evaluation Board, and then that's when they kind of decided that I was unfit for duty. But I had two options. I can either change my MOS to a non-deploying MOS with no more rifle range, no more field ops, no more deployments, to a non-combat MOS, and I can just ride the rest of my term out, or I can just go ahead and just get out medically. And I thought there was, at the time I was like, there's really not a point of being a Marine if I can go to the rifle range and deploy or go to the field. So I went ahead and took the option to get out. So a big part of me kind of regrets that at the moment.
Hey, let me tell you, my story and your story are synced, man, because, I was flying the V-22 Osprey, and I had knee surgeries from back in the day, being a catcher through college. My knees were torn up. I had 7 surgeries on my knees. I had metal all in my knees. And I walked in one day and they're like, you're done. You can't be in the Marine Corps anymore, which is crazy to me, because we just talked to a gentleman this morning that got to stay in it as a double amputee.
Yeah, he re-enlisted, double amputee and blind.
Double amputee and blind. And here I am getting kicked out in 2006, getting kicked out of the Marine Corps. And it's the same thing. Clayton, I had the choice. They said, well, you can stay, but they were getting ready to send me off for 3 years. I was going to go to Iraq, come back, go back to Iraq, go back, and go back to Iraq. It was already planned out for me, because I was the only V-22 pilot in a non-deployable status. And so my CO was like, you got to go. You got to get out. And to this day, that hurts, because I feel like I freaking quit. If I'm just being honest with you, I'm like, I should have fought harder. And I did fight harder. Shit. At the time I'd had 17 surgeries.
Oh, yeah.
So it was 7 on my knees and then other ones. And it's time to go,
Yeah.
But so I feel your pain, man. I'm with you right there.
Clayton,
The hardest thing you could ever tell a Marine is that he'll never lead troops again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll never deploy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's the purpose, or what's the point? If I can't lead and deploy, I mean,
Yeah.
how do I call myself a Marine anymore?
Well, in deploying, like I was going to deploy on a staff as a V-22 liaison, that's not deploying. That's just answering questions and being a butt boy. I know. I was like, that's brutal. I ain't doing that.
Coffee boy, coffee.
Yeah,
boy.
Coffee boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Clayton,
I thought I was going to be the first one to slip.
Clayton, did you ever figure out, or you ever trace back, the point of origin on what kind of went wrong with your hips?
Well, I mean, there was a couple incidences where, the doctors were kind of looking at it like, well, maybe it was due to an IED blast wave. I was never directly hit. A vehicle in front of me got hit. Being around a couple of waves, like just blast waves in general. And they were kind of saying that because of the force of the blast wave itself kind of ripped some things off the bone and off the femoral head and off the hip socket itself. And then instead of me, they offered like, well, they didn't have the technology in Dwyer to kind of like work with me. They're like, we can send you to Germany and see what's wrong with your hips. I was like, no, I'll just stick it out here. And I was also a sweep team commander and navigator. So I kind of just kept using my hips and everything. So by me kind of sticking around and you keep using it, that caused a lot more damage. But at the time, and even right now, I feel like I made the right decision to stick it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because it's not totally, I totally buy into that. I mean, how old were you at the time when you?
It's a good question. It was 2011. I'm 35 right now.
All right, so
that's higher math.
So let's back that off 9 years. So
26.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so I mean that's when you think about that. I mean, needing a hip replacement or hip surgery is not normal for a 26-year-old man. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you don't need to reveal, but I hope the VA calculated that as a service-connected disability.
Yeah. Wow.
But,
which probably not.
Yeah,
No.
by your eye rolling, I can kind of figure that out.
So Kyle, back to you. So yeah, just keep on. So now you
so I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I knew I had PTSD. I knew at the time all the TBIs, because like Clayton said, blasts. They didn't know about the blasts. Like I've been in between two vehicles where it exploded. I've had the front of my vehicle exploded, and so the TBI thing, it was there, but we didn't know about it. So deployed again, came back, and then I was just like, well, how can I make a difference? Because like I said, this was eating me up inside. And what I haven't told everybody is at that time, Navy medicine was like, take this, take this, take this, take this, take this, take this.
Absolutely.
And I never really had anybody tell me, stop taking this until I met my wife. And my wife was like, you need to stop. You're out of control. And I didn't listen to her for the longest time. I hid it from everybody. It got to the point where I needed it to survive, to walk, to go to work, to hunt, to hike, to do all that. I felt like a super Marine. I'd take whatever I took at the time. And I was on top of the world, got promoted to gunny, got, this class of the year when I went to where was I at? Camp Geiger at ITB as an instructor. How can I make a difference? You got 300 privates that don't know left from right. I can make a difference. Hey, don't do this. I did this. It doesn't work, type of thing. And I was on top of the world, and it became a problem. And it's one of those things that I'm still suffering with today. Yeah. Of all the stuff that I took, from drinking to pills to whatever I could do to function, to live, to make it go away, to not think about things, to do whatever. So my wife has been a huge help on that, though.
Yeah, I want to say that you're totally, because one of the things I do is I talk to a lot of people, right? You're totally not alone in that. I could start counting Marines, and I'm talking specifically Marines, on two hands that I've talked to that the same thing, because they were just doing. That's what the thought process was at the time. We'll give them this. Just keep giving them this. We'll just keep giving them this. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they walked a lot of veterans down the wrong path.
Sure.
They know it now, but they didn't know it then. It was,
and it almost cost me my career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of people, same thing, that do a lot of good things now, helping people because of what they did in that respect, in that regards. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I can say the same thing. I got lucky with my wife, man. My wife is a nurse. She's a godsend. When I had my knee surgeries, the type of knee surgeries I had, I was on oxymorphine at the same time and Valium all at the same time for weeks. And I can see how people can get addicted to it, because when I was coming off the oxy, it was like my body would go through these shocks, like literally like I was being shocked. And so but she's a nurse. So she was like, okay, you're not having that anymore. You're not having that anymore.
Yeah.
And I got off quick, but I can only imagine if I didn't have her,
Yeah.
it'd have been brutal.
But I mean, I'm talking years. So I got hurt in 2000, October 1st or October 6th, 2005 till 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You know, I was making excuses for myself why I needed it.
Yeah.
And like I said, and then I met Tara, and, you know, her being the alpha that she is, you know, being a chief in the Navy, no nonsense. She's just like, dude, you've got a problem. And no, I don't. And that's the first thing anybody that's been addicted to anything, that's no, I don't have a problem.
It's that, you know, unfortunately it's that Marine Corps mentality. It's good to make a war fighter. You know, if you want to, you know, create a war fighter, you start with military bearing, and you be like, don't scratch your face. Okay, get in the dirt. You want to scratch your face, get in the dirt. Yeah. You know, it starts from something like that, to where I'm trying to make a war fighter. I'm trying to save their life by teaching them such staunch discipline from minor pains that you never know where the line is drawn.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I've heard that phrase. You got to know the difference between playing hurt and playing injured.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're hurt, get back and fight, Buttercup. I mean, we need you. And you, as a Marine, you rationalize to yourself all the time that I'm just hurt.
Yeah, don't check.
I'm just hurt. Oh, this injured? Nah, I'm not injured. I'm just hurt. Just give me a couple of Motrin and give me some of that vitamin M and some hydrocortisone cream. I'll get right back in a fight.
Yeah.
Change your socks.
Yeah, change your socks. That's the remedy. Don't tell Tara.
Yeah.
That's the remedy for every corpsman.
Yeah.
But so Clayton, how did you get introduced and find out anything about the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy?
Well, it's when I got out of the Marine Corps. I retired in 2013. I was attending the Wounded Warrior trials, or the Warrior trials, the Warrior games, Marine Corps trials, Warrior games. And I met up with a guy named Brian Scarborough, and him and I started talking really well, and we became really good buddies real quick. We found out that I really liked baseball. And he was like, hey, man, you ever heard of the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy? I was like, oh, man, I've never heard of that. I'm like, well, they do baseball stuff. And I'm like, well, I love baseball stuff. So he was like, well, so he had me download an app. It's one where it's like, I can't remember what it was. Jim Evans, like umpire questions or something like that, where it runs you through a scenario and you got to pick the right call, and it gives you 5 seconds to come up with a call.
That's right.
And it blew my mind on I played baseball my whole life, but I could not get a single answer right. And I was like, what? That's wrong. You know? And so that got me intrigued on wanting to go to the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy, because I can learn a whole different aspect of baseball. And I've played it my whole life, and I've coached it a little bit here or there. And umpiring, I thought, why not, man? Why not just give it a shot? So that's how I got introduced to the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy.
Nice. Yeah, Brian Scarborough was in our initial class in 2014. Okay.
That's cool.
And he also came to a follow-on clinic that we held, which was the Jim Evans Academy, professional umpiring in Albuquerque.
Yeah. And
so we went there, and that's how we found the app. And it was probably right after he went there, we got this app that Jim had created, and we were all sitting there at the camp, and it's like, let's do this, let's do it. I mean, it's pretty well done. And you're right, though. It's Jim. I have never met anybody in my life that knows more about the game of baseball rules than Jim Evans. I mean, the guy wrote a book at one point, the history and evolution of a baseball rule. And when he put that thing together, I mean, it's stupid good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still available. If it's still,
I think it's called "What's the Call."
Yeah, something like that. And it's the old like cartoons of Jim Evans, and the funky looking guys throwing. But yeah, that's pretty good. And so that you got it word of mouth from another veteran that had come through the academy, and then we recruited you, brought you in, and we'll pause you there. So
yeah. How about you, Kyle?
Kyle, how'd you learn about us?
Oh, wow. So I coached a small local travel ball team, Top Gun, I think, what was it, Greg? 11 at that time. I think it was 11, 12-year-olds. And it just so happens that your son was on the team. And unbeknownst to me, Greg was talking to my wife in the stands, like, you know what, I think Kyle, it was in Snow Hill, never forget it, Kyle would be a great umpire. But at that time, I had no idea what your background was. No clue. All I knew was you were my XO. That's all I knew.
That dude's a jerk.
No,
I'm talking to my wife for it.
No, and then after the game, you know, we were sitting there talking. You're like, you know what? I think, you know, I can tell your passion for the game. I think you'd make a great umpire. And of course, I had that typical coach's response. I'm a coach. You know, I don't need to be an umpire. And somehow, I don't remember how it happened, but you convinced me to go. And Clayton and I were in the same class. And it was, I think, the second class that was given, and it was in Colorado. Right. And it was when I tell you it changed my life, it was probably the best thing that I have ever done. Just with the group that we had in our class, the instructors that we had out there. And like Clayton said, I played baseball. I coached baseball. I thought I knew what everything there was to know about baseball until, you know, you go to an umpire camp and you have no idea what baseball is all about.
Exactly.
What do you mean that's wrong? You know, so, and I haven't looked back.
Yeah, I think that was I think that was the first class that we had MLB support, and had Laz Diaz and Corey Blazer had come out.
Yeah, Dodgers and Rockies.
That's right. And they showed up, and we had them do an impromptu plate mechanics class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so cool. And Laz was out there, and I can't remember. I don't know if it was David that leaned over to me or something and was like, you know, Laz has got like 5 different strike 3 calls or something like that. But and so then we kind of let that morph and said, hey, Laz, show us your strike 3 calls. And so next thing you know, we're doing a strike 3. I mean, that was a pretty good class. We were in the bubble,
in the dome,
in the dome out there. We had that indoor turf field. I vaguely remember it being super hot.
Yes, it was very hot out.
Very hot.
But yeah, that was a big class.
Yeah,
that was a pretty big class.
Yeah, and like I said, it changed my life. And you know, I know some people that go to the academy and they don't follow on with baseball, but they're still part of the brotherhood, and they come back every year, or they're still keeping in contact. And for the ones like Clayton and I, Clayton's gone to pro school. You know, that's amazing feat in itself, you know, because I look at videos of it and I'm like, damn, that's like boot camp again. I'm not trying to do that. You know, and it's for the ones that have actually got bit by the bug and then now want to take this as far as they can take it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So I want to pull this thread just a little bit. And you said it changed your life, and it changed you for the better. So, can you amplify that on a little bit of like where were you at in your life? How did you feel about your life? And
I was still struggling, you know, like I said, I put a face on for everybody else, but I had my demons, still have my demons. I was I'm talking within months of retiring. And my biggest concern was, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years, you know, and I've always had that mindset when I first came to Camp Lejeune, you know, when I leave, the base is going to close down. Holcomb Boulevard's going to shut down. They're going to have a flyover. They're going to have artillery.
Exactly.
You know, there's never going to be another 03. Like, you know, they're going to close it down. You know, and then obviously the longer you're in, the more rank you put on, the more you realize that dude that's ready to replace you is already standing behind you.
Exactly.
And so I was scared. I'm like, I was 17, 18 years old. I'm 34 now. What am I going to do? You know, and I was afraid of leaving one uniform and then not having something, you know, friends, and because you have your friends in the Marine Corps, but really, where are they at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once you retire. And I realized joining, you know, being part of the Brotherhood of the Umpire, I exchanged one uniform for the other. Yeah. And I exchanged one family for another. And, you know, I was good. I felt at peace with myself that, you know, especially if I take this serious and this is what I want to do, then, you know, I'm going to be okay, you know. And like I said, the last class, you know, I actually shared my story. And it was the first time I shared my story in a public setting, not with like the head doctors or anything like that. So it's, you know, I've got a list of people that have been beneficial in my life, from Dave Pritchett all the way down to CB Post, Jimmy Craig, Pigman, and for those who know who Pigman is, and then, Barry Chambers, everybody that's had some sort of impact in my life in this. And it's, I don't have to worry about, like I said, if I have an issue, if I have a problem, I can call you. And, well, I know that some people pick up, some people don't pick up, but
yeah,
and you never know when you're going to run into each other. Like literally, I'm at a tournament in Greensboro. I walk out to the field and I'm like, God, that base umpire looks really familiar. And then going to trying to get my son recruited, going to Barton University, and as we're leaving, Dave Pritchett's walking right past me. And it's like boom. So
it rocked your world so much that you literally left a Yeti cooler.
I did leave a cooler, yes.
Well,
and then I took a shot too. I was the first base coach, I guess you want to take it. And this kid hit a rope down the line, hit me right in the thigh. And all he does is turns around and he just starts laughing at me.
Bro, that hurts.
That really hurt. I had a bruise for a long time.
Yeah. Well, what was cool about that tournament is he was there. That was my first game there. He was there. And then 2 days later, it was great because I'm behind the plate and he's there for another game and he's sitting there behind me in like the score box, and all that. So it was good because I was getting feedback and all that and talking to him. But what was even cooler is his son was umpire, and your son is good, man. I'm telling you, your son is
catching, not umpiring.
I mean, catching, not catching. I was umpiring. I wish I was catching and we could switch places, but I caught in college. He's the best catcher that I had that whole weekend. Hands down, by far.
Not to get off topic or anything, but I'm going to do a little plug out. He obviously everybody knows the recruiting process is horrible right now because of COVID, and you've got all the seniors being redshirted coming back, and the draft got cut down, so people that normally get drafted in the later rounds are now coming back to school. So a lot of schools don't know who's coming, who's going, who's staying. And my son got an opportunity. Thank God it's over with Norfolk State. And, the good thing about it is as a freshman, he's going to be on the field.
Yeah.
And the coach, shout out to Coach Shoemate, who used to be at A&T, basically said that, you're going to split time your freshman year, your sophomore, junior, senior. And if you do your master's, this is your program. So
that's awesome.
And you can't say no to it, especially in times now. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
That's awesome.
All right, so Clayton, you got the bug from Scar, and he says, "Hey, you got to go to this place," and you came. And walk us on.
All right. It came at a pretty good time. I was drinking a lot. Was on a lot of medication. I went from like 180 when I got out. I was, my injury. I was 180 pounds, and shot up to 250. All the medication I was taking. So when Scar, gave me the heads up that the Umpire Academy is going on, it got me to, look forward to something else other than the Warrior games, or Miracle Trials once a year. Even though the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy is once a year, but baseball, is almost continuous if you just do it right. So when I got to the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy, I liked the direction it went. I liked the structure that it had. And it made me realize that, I might be injured or I might be wounded or injured, but I could still do something. And providing me an outsource or an outlet that makes me feel like I still can serve a purpose benefited my family and me. So it allowed me to feel important, which allows my family to feel like they're succeeding. And because of the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy, I've been able to fulfill my needs and make my family feel secure in our relationship.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's a lot more than that for you there at the house because with not just learning how to umpire back there, but you've taken it to a whole new level back there in Malala. And I'm sorry, I just like saying that, Malala. Where do you live? I live in Malala. And, but you've become kind of a name made a name for yourself out there. Tell us about some of your excursions in the community out there.
All right. I graduated from Wendelstedt Professional Umpire Academy in Florida. I came back and I kind of struggled a little bit. I didn't get selected for, like the College Wood Bat League or even the minors. And I understand, I understand why. It was a really good class I had that year, but it really it made me feel like, man, maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe this isn't something I should do. So when I got back, I just decided, you know what? I know there's kids in the area that need an outlet, so I'll start just training these kids. So I got with the local Malala Youth Sports. I asked, I was like, I just graduated. I can help out, train some umpires for the area. They said that's great because they usually outsource from different areas to get umpires, and there's a community of kids that need something to look forward to. So I started training the kids there to become umpires, and I trained them the way that I was trained from the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy. And I'm having these kids go out that are in high school doing little guy ball. And these parents are like, you guys are like the best umpires we've seen. But there's some kids that are like, what, in their 40s that have been doing this for 15 plus years. And I got kids that I just trained for the first time ever, like a weekend class that are outshining these guys. So that kind of got the word out from me being an umpiring, like instructor. And then I decided, you know what, I still want to umpire myself. So I started umpiring little guys. And then I got a heads up to do some high school ball. And then there was a Clackamas County tournament. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. What's up? Am I so good?
Yeah, you're
good.
Okay. So there was Clackamas County Junior Baseball had a tournament in Malala. And they asked if I would like to be a part of that, but they only select a certain few people to allow to do this because it's a pretty expensive tournament. And I said, yeah. So I did, I think I did like 7 games in 2 days. But on the last day, we did 3 games, and I was doing the championship, and I got offered to do the plate at the championship game.
Oh,
and the lady that was there was she's like the CEO or the president of the CCJVA. And she was like, I like the way you work, and I'd like for you to come work for me. And I was like, oh, I appreciate that. She's like, no, by far, you're a pretty good umpire. And I like how you handle the crowd. I had warned several coaches, but she came over telling me I was justified in everything I ever did. And I kind of felt bad for restricting a couple guys, but she really liked how I worked. The kids love me. The parents love me. The coaches love me. So I have an opportunity to possibly work as an umpiring instructor for CCJBA, as well as work more tournaments in the future with Clackamas County Junior Baseball Association.
I think I want to move out there and start saying some of these names. I'm from Malala and live in Clackamas.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the awesome job you did at the Triple Crown World Series too in Steamboat.
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate you mentioning that. Thank you.
Well, now he's worldwide.
Yeah.
He's made it.
Yeah, you guys have been a true inspiration for us. For me, to be able to, see, when we brought you guys in, turning Kyle in from a coach to, somebody that's, working college baseball today. And, and Clayton, you and I text a lot. And every time I see your name pop up on my phone, I get a smile and I'm like, all right, here it is, my boy.
Yeah.
And it's always a joy to hear from you and the progress that you're making out there in Malala and Clackamas. It's
Kyle,
Malala, Clackamas.
Kyle,
Sorry.
what level are you at? What all have you done?
I've Dave Pritchett. I know he's there. He's behind the scenes somewhere. It's always Dave Pritchett's everywhere.
He's producing.
Yeah.
So he's by far probably one of the biggest influences I've had in my life. And, whether he's down this way in summertime playing golf or doing whatever, he came up to me one day and he's just like, hey, do you want to call college baseball? And I said, I never thought I was ready. I'm still, trying to manage a full-time high school schedule to, Legion schedule, whatever have you be. And I could tell by the look in his face, he was just like, I think you're ready. And I wasn't going to ask him, do you think I'm ready? Because that's just a dumb question. So he's like, hey, if you want to come to this camp. So I went to this camp for the South Atlantic Conference, 3-man camp, and I went to learn, wasn't expecting anything, wasn't expecting to get hired. And basically they said at the end of the camp, if in a couple of days you get an email, we're taking you on. So when I came home, I remember I was nervous, and with K-Buck, because me and K-Buck were texting back and forth. Did you get anything? Did you get anything? No, I haven't got anything yet. And we got the email. And of course, being the new guys on the street, you're going to get the best games. I promise you that. But it was the fact of being hired and making that next step. And then, obviously from a college game, whether it's a NIA to a JUCO to a Division III to whatever, it's a totally different ballgame. The level of it, the speed of it, just everything is coaches, this is their livelihoods. So you can't go out there making a fool out of yourself, and you have to know what you're doing. But to answer your question, I've done everything from, and I know somebody mentioned earlier, being at the right place at the right time, being seen, because you never know who's out there watching you. And I don't care if it's a little league game to a Division I game. You go out there and you should treat every game the same, the way you look, the way you prepare, your pregame, your postgame, whatever you're doing. And it just so happens that I was doing a game that I don't remember what I was doing, didn't mean anything. And someone said, hey, do you want to call for USA Baseball? Sure. So now I'm put in contact with the guy who's in charge of that. Well, he's also in charge of, Division I non-conference games. He's also in charge of the USA South games. He's also in charge of doing this. So I was working both with the South Atlantic Conference and this guy. So one weekend I'm doing, a Division III at Methodist. Then I'm doing the Division II Eastern tournament up in Wilson. And then I'm doing it, I'm looking at my arbiter and it says ECU. That can't be right, and then so it's just,
That's awesome.
it just happened. I'm very thankful. And then, so.
Yeah, keep at it. That's
Yeah.
great. And then you make those contacts, and, Clayton, with pro school behind your back and having, being seen by some of these people, it's just a matter of time, my friend. You're moving and shaking and changing lives up there. You guys are both doing a fabulous job. So kudos to both of you. I hate that word kudos, but anyway, kudos to both of you. I do want to shift gears just slightly because, we've got some folks that are listening in, and there's been some questions that popped up. Not a ton of them, but I would like to read some of these questions or get them out there and get your guys' response on them. I'll just mention, here's somebody who comes in and gives you little words of encouragement. It says, I'm proud of both you guys. That's amazing, and congratulations. And that's from one of your fellow alumni members. That's nice to hear and nice to see that. But I'll start over here on the left, Matt, if you don't mind. And
okay.
And Daniel writes, I still deal with confidence issues that I feel have been taken from me years ago when I was blown up in Iraq. And how can we as Warriors get back the confidence that we lost from a traumatic event? What do you guys think?
I struggled with it. Like I said, survivor's guilt, confidence in myself, confidence in the ability to lead, because as the platoon sergeant, these guys were under my charge. And they just all died, and I'm, not to bring out numbers, but in my battalion, we lost 21, 7, 8 from my platoon under my charge. You have to accept it. You really do. It was meant to be. If you're spiritual or not, you have to know that, it's God's plan, Could it have been you? Yes. But you have to accept the fact that it happened and it's not your fault. And, it sucks. It's not a day that goes by that you're not going to think of things and remember things, smells to tastes to alive days, anniversaries, movies on TV to, news articles that come out. You always have your confidence. It's in you. you just, like I said, you have to believe in yourself again. You have to,
Like channel it.
yes,
Channel
you
it,
have,
feel it out,
because
find it.
could I sit in the corner, suck my thumb? I've got PTSD. Woe is me. Sure, I could. But you have to get yourself a good support group. You have to surround yourself with people who understand you. Because I could sit and talk to a doctor that's got a PhD in as well, but he's never walked 2 steps in my feet. He's never been where I've been. So you get all these guys at the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy or support groups at the VA, and so surround yourself with people who've been where you've been, who understand your language, understand what you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, once you tell your story, and like you said, Matt, the more you talk about it, the more you say it, the better you feel inside, because you're empty now. It's not inside. It's not building up and you're ready to explode. So
Have you
You mind
got,
if I chime in on that?
yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I was a navigator and sweep team commander in Afghanistan, and we had an opportunity, and I had an opportunity to speak up about a certain route, and I didn't, and that caused a bad situation in Afghanistan, right? So I've always had this insecure with me about making a decision, being the person who makes a decision, because every time I would go to make a decision, it would make me feel as though someone's about to get hurt. If I choose this, it's going to be on my shoulders. Now, my confidence is low, so I have to have someone else pick where we go. I have to have my wife decide where we go, because I didn't want to be the guy that did something to cause something else, because my confidence in myself and my ability to make a decision was wrecked. So how I started, and it also started carrying on into baseball, where I think he's safe. He could be out. If I call safe, this guy's going to get mad at me. If I call safe, this guy's going to get mad at me. So I started questioning, can I be confident enough on a baseball field to make the right call? And the more I started understanding that, and this is something that Tony Morrow helped me out with a lot, was in war and in Afghanistan, you're going to make decisions and things are going to happen, But when you come back here to the station, you're in baseball, no matter what call you make, they're going to go home and they're going to sleep at night. Nobody's not going to not go home. And I've had to help. I've had to communicate things with my wife and fill in on letting her know my insecurities on picking a place. It could be the simplest thing as picking a restaurant, but because of how I feel inside about my ability to make a call, it's going to create an argument. But if I tell her, hey, listen, this is why it's hard for me to pick a place, it could start an argument. But as long as she understands that for just a couple of times, I would appreciate if you could pick the place. It helps making me understand that she understands me, and my confidence then starts to build up. So that would be my comment to the individual who asked about the confidence part.
So I got a question for you guys. Have you ever heard the term moral injury? You ever heard that? Okay. So I think this goes along the lines of what you guys just talked about. And it's something that we focus on PTSD. That's what we focus on, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder, post-traumatic stress, and that is individual thing, right? Have I been in a traumatic thing? But if you're talking about what both of you just really talked about, yes, you're talking about PTSD and what the trauma that you've been through, but you're also really talking about your moral injury. Why not me? Why was I not the person that died? And that's one thing that I struggle with. Why didn't my helicopter crash on July 9th, 2001? Why did my buddies crash? Right? And so you get that survivor's remorse. And so and that's something that we don't talk about enough as military vets. We don't talk about, hey, there's we have a moral controversy going on inside of ourselves. And I'm not talking about your morals. I'm talking about that survivor's remorse, or that indecision, Clayton, like you were talking about. If I make this decision, then something's going to happen because this is what happened before.
Yeah.
And that's really a big topic that we don't focus on enough. And I think it's an important thing. Yes, it is about the PTSD, but that's 50% of it. The other 50% is the moral injury, what I've gone through, and how can I go through that moral dilemma to take me to the next side. And Kyle, that goes back to what you talked about. That goes back to communicating and talking and just really, really getting that help and knowing that you're not alone. I agree with you 100%. peer-to-peer counseling, 100%. That's what's going to get you over the edge. Now, if you need to go see the psychologist or the psychiatrist because it's above that peer-to-peer counseling, then you do that. But
Sure.
when we're talking and we know that we've walked the walk and talked the talk and we've been through that, that's key. That is so key. Yeah. So I want to throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's, it's probably one of the biggest questions, but it's like it's kind of the question that is on all of them. And
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things. I mean, the confidence of, making a decision to, what did Gary say this morning? He said, constantly tell yourself, I belong here.
Yeah, I belong here. I belong here.
And I'm going to do my job.
Yeah.
I belong here. I'm going to do my job.
So next question, at what point do you stop denying you have a problem such as PTSD? I'm going to add in there moral injury. I want to throw that in there, or alcohol or substance abuse. When you or others you see acting out are just being, or are they just being destructive? You're being destructive or they're being destructive. What are your thoughts on that?
So what point do you stop denying it?
At what point did you stop denying it? And you said, okay, I got a problem.
It
And
hit rock bottom.
yeah.
Literally almost lost my career, almost lost my wife, everything I had. And in a matter of like that, just almost gone in one day. So I realized when I had nothing else to lose that it's time to say, okay, maybe everybody that's been telling me I have a problem or that I need to go talk to somebody, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm the wrong one, because I was blaming everybody else but me, and they were right and I was wrong. So you'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know everybody's going to be different. Everybody's situation's different. I don't know. It's like I said, it's a hard thing to explain. So
I would definitely say I realized I had a problem when my wife recorded me one night and I had no idea what she was doing until the next day I sobered up and watched that video. I was sober enough to watch myself and my stupid ass actions and what I was doing that was causing so much harm and turmoil. But at that time, I didn't care because I wasn't feeling it. Right. I was just enjoying myself and having a good time, suppressing all my thoughts and memories. So I think maybe watching yourself with a sober mindset while you're in a destructive, alcoholic, or bad state of mind could definitely help you kind of bring to terms with who you really are and what you really want to be.
Yeah.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound.
Yeah.
When you drink or you use a pill or whatever your excuse is, right. It's might be gone for an hour or two, but like Clayton says, once you sober up, and then for him, he had video evidence. And for me, I always had my wife telling me, guess what? You're a douchebag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, let's see, man, we're at 4:30.
Yeah, Chris had made a comment over here. I'll just throw this out. Shout out to Clayton. Said that Chris said that he worked that final game with you in Denver in 2017, and he said it was just an absolute joy, and he learned a lot from you. So shout out from Chris to Clayton.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah, you guys. You guys have been amazing. I mean, we have plenty of stories across the academy. But I really appreciate you guys coming on here and sharing your stories. I know, when we ask you about confidence issues and we start to pull out the fish and pull and start pulling out some of the bad memories that you guys don't necessarily want to live. But, you're in service of trying to help and serve your brothers and sisters that are struggling with some of the same things that you guys struggled with.
Yeah.
And, to thank you, not just from our hearts here with the WWUA, but we've been graciously given two $50 gift certificates to give you both for umpattire.com. So we will be emailing you both a couple of $50 gift certificates to thank you.
you know, every time I'm on umpire, my wife walks by and she's like, "You don't need it. You don't need it.
Yes, you do.
Don't buy it.
You've got
Hey,
everything
this is
you need.
free.
You don't need it."
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jim Kirk has graciously donated that again. So
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Jim.
for your sharing your word on that.
Yeah. And I got to say this. I do got to say this because, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. When I came to camp last year, you two were two that I looked up to. The way you carried yourself, the way you did things on the field. You know, I really did. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I looked at you two guys and I'm like, you know what? I want to be like these guys, you know, because I was just walking back into umpiring, you know, and to know that you guys came back through, that we all three played, we all three were Marines, and we all came into it cold. You know, I'm trying to walk you guys' path, you know, and it's motivating to see that y'all were there a few years ago and to see, hey, maybe I can get there, you know? And so I mean that. And Kyle, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
22 years old. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yes,
You thought you were going to get through this whole thing and nobody was going to say
I
something.
did. No one said anything.
He's like, I'm almost there.
Almost there. What I'd like to say one thing about the actual academy. It's no different than going through boot camp. You know, day one when everyone's trying to march and they look like robots, and then through the instruction of the great instructors that we do have, to graduation day, to going out and calling games, it's apples and oranges. And you go from like day one in boot camp to, you know, phase 3, and how, you know, rewarding it is to see, you know, these guys actually out there calling, and then not just at the academy, but going off in different venues and running into them and watching, you know, hey, I remember when day one, he, obviously it's different from you because you played, but some of these guys, you know, didn't know what a ball was or a strike. And then they're out there managing the game themselves. You know, that's rewarding. That's why I like coming back, you know, and just seeing the fresh crop come in, like, yeah, you're going to make it. You know, and then all the conversations we have too. And then, oh yeah, by the way, we teach baseball.
Yeah.
Right. It's just our excuse. But
That's an excuse.
So our producer just chimed in, and Ray Brownlee. If you guys don't know Ray Brownlee, he's
absolutely
wonderful founder of Ump Life up there in Canada. He does a lot of great products. We've got mats and stuff, and he's done some donations for us for the alumni call that we're going to do here at 5:30 to do some giveaways. But you know, to chime in and thank you guys for sharing your story. He's also chimed in and said, I'm going to give him $50 for Ump Life too.
Awesome.
So
I tell you, if you don't have, I'm plugging him right now.
Yeah.
The harness that I have for my chest protector is probably the best money I've spent on gear. It is phenomenal.
And then Clayton, if you don't have one, and you're gonna have $50 toward the purchase of one.
Yeah.
So we'll hook you
Okay,
up.
no, I've got one.
Oh, you've got one too.
I need to get one. So I'll be figuring out what that is.
So I guess we got to do parting shots because we got to get on this. We got to get ready for happy hour here at 5:30 with the alumni. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And so look, I've already said it. Thank you both. You know,
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Motivators to me and mean a lot to me. And I just look up to you guys for sure.
Yeah. So I can say this to you guys and you'll get it. All our other speakers today, I probably would have thrown them a complete curveball, but you guys have any saved rounds or alibis?
No. Clear.
All right.
I
we got a save round.
appreciate you guys more than anything. So, I mean, without you guys, I probably wouldn't be married. So, or even have close to a relationship with my son. So without the help you guys provided, it kept me level-headed and kept me moving on. So I appreciate everything.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Absolutely.
We love you both.
All right. Yeah. Love you both. And we'll see you here in 50 minutes.
You got it.
Unless you got to go fight a fire.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, gents. Thank you very much.
Right.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.